Welcome to Morgantown, West Virginia, and the West Virginia University Coliseum. Hello, everyone. I am John Roethlisberger, along with Olympian and NCAA champion Sam Pesek. This is the second round, Session 2 of the Women's Regional Gymnastics Championships. And Sam, we had a heck of a first session. It was an exciting one.
It was wild to begin with, but you know, it wasn't wild. Cal, they just did what they have been doing all season long. Calm, cool, consistent gymnastics. Emmy Watterson got a 10 from one judge, and Maya Bordas shocked everybody with a 9.95 beam routine. It was beautiful.
The big story, though, was Ohio State.
They had an upset over BYU, and we saw phenomenal gymnastics like Colby Miller's bar routine, and finishing up the competition for Ohio State was Ella Hodgins on beam. Right as she landed, everybody exploded because they knew they qualified to the next day of regional championships.
And that came right down to the end. Ohio State and Cal, they advanced, and now here we are in the evening. Michigan, UCLA, Kent State, and West Virginia. And Sam, the thing about this competition is it's the time of year where it's do or die. There is no tomorrow for two of these teams, and that's what makes it so exciting.
Well, it's really all about who can handle the pressure. We've had a strange season with COVID. There's been meets canceled, there's been meets postponed, strange preseason. So it's about who can do their best gymnastics when it's needed here tonight.
And the highest ranked team in this West Virginia regional is the 4th ranked Michigan Wolverines. And they come in here maybe not off the greatest conference meet, but they still come in hot.
They've been doing such a good job, record-breaking season, but like you mentioned, John, they did not win Big Ten, so they've been training hard, and they're coming in here with a little extra fire.
They've got some big guns on that team.
Natalie Wojcik, the junior, she is phenomenal on every single event. Does almost perfect gymnastics, and I expect we're going to see a lot of good things from her tonight.
She could take this team a long way. This is going to be a unique broadcast. We're going to show you all 4 events simultaneously as you look at some of the rankings of Natalie Wojcik. They all around 6th ranking in the country. That is so difficult to do. There are a lot of great all-arounders in the NCAA women's gymnastics. We will keep a close eye on her and Michigan, obviously, throughout this. As you see the Bruins head coach Chris Waller pumping them up over on the uneven bars. Really the favorites, and it seems like it's maybe a bigger gap this time, Sam, between the top 2 teams and the 3rd and 4th place team than maybe we saw this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. UCLA, they've done well historically, but they've had a rough beginning part of their season. But head coach Chris Waller really believes that they're still on their way to peaking, and he's hoping to see it here this weekend. Michigan is hoping to do what they have been training and like they've done in previous meets where they've hit record-breaking scores.
So this is our quad box. West Virginia, they are starting on the vault. UCLA, they start on the uneven bars. Michigan on the balance beam, the same place that Cal started the first session and did so well. Kent will start on the floor exercise. And right now you're looking at the balance beam. That is freshman Carly Bauman getting this thing started for the Wolverines.
And when we had a chance to talk with Michigan's head coach Bev Flocky, I asked her about starting on beam because it can sometimes be tricky. Ooh. And big wobble there, hoping to keep that going. You do not want to fall this early in the competition, but head coach Bev Flocky said that they're excited to start on beam because that's when they broke their first 198 barrier. She said, so they're fine with it. They want to control the meet with enthusiasm. Hanging on to that beam routine, good first routine from Michigan.
Shea Campbell from UCLA is finishing up her bar routine. West Virginia's first vaulter, Kiana Yancey, got a 9.8. Now is Rachel Horning with her vault. First gymnast from Kent State just finishing up on the floor exercise.
Do you think everyone wore the same leotard on purpose, John?
Oh my gosh, all the teams, you mean? Yeah,
Yes.
there's a lot of commonality here. You're not going to be able to just glance up at the screen and automatically know where the team is that you're trying to watch, and we will try to help you. Again, upper left corner, that is West Virginia on the vault. To the right of them, the uneven bars with UCLA. Bottom left is the University of Michigan on the balance beam, and bottom right is Kent State on the floor exercise, but we've got a lot of very familiar colors. I feel like they should have thought of that when they seeded these teams in the regionals, don't you, Sam? They should have thought of us, is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, wow, it's all about us being able to pick out the gymnasts. So this is going to be a tough one, but we are here for the challenge. We're excited for some great gymnastics.
Sophomore from Ypsilanti, Michigan, Gabby Wilson will be the second gymnast up on balance beam. Carly Bauman, just a 9.7 for the first gymnast up for the Wolverines. Still waiting for the other scores to come in.
Beam has been actually a really good event for Michigan this year. They're ranked 4th in the country, and they actually broke the program record on beam this year, scoring a 49.6. So they want to put up a big number to start things off here. Beautiful back handspring layout.
In Ann Arbor this year, program records for this women's team were in jeopardy every time they went out. They had a heck of a stretch there.
Oh, another big wobble for Michigan on beam. That's a little unexpected. It's been a consistent event for them so far this season.
Shea Campbell got a 9.85 in the leadoff spot for the Bruins. Oh, and a big break on bars.
Frida Esparza casting over, and this is really when the pressure is starting to set in. She's a freshman, first time in a regional championship setting, and you really want to be aggressive, but you also don't want to let the adrenaline overpower you.
I gotta think those cast handstands on bars, Sam, in some ways it's almost worse than the release moves that you see as far as pressure on the athlete, because you got to be in a handstand to avoid deduction, and it's all about fractions of a tenth at this level. What is that like? Is it more pressure to do those somewhat easy skills than some of the big skills in some ways?
Yeah, it's funny because you're exactly right. It's I say equivalent to the full turns on beam. You can always tell when a gymnast is feeling the pressure when they wobble on a full turn, and something similar on bars is casting over or going really shy on that handstand. So a lot more pressure on the back end of this UCLA bar lineup now.
So UCLA flinches first. They have a miss. Remember, 6 gymnasts can go on each event. You have to count the top 5 scores on each event. So that's not the end of the world for UCLA, but they need to get 4 more hits to erase that fall. West Virginia on vault has got 3 scores in. Yancey a 9.8, Horning a 9.725, and Kayla Yancey a 9.7. That was Michelle Waldron, who just went. Kent State, Olivia Modi, a 9.825 in the leadoff spot for them.
In that top right box, you're seeing Savannah Koyman, and she's got a lot of pressure on her. She's following a fall, and actually at their very last competition, she stepped in for Nia Dennis on bars and had a fall herself. So you know she's feeling the heat here.
What do you think Chris Waller was telling her right there, Sam?
I think he's telling her to be calm, stay in your zone. You got this, just like you trained. You know, stay focused on your gymnastics.
I was told the zone in Westwood is the Bruin bubble. Is that accurate?
Yes, the Bruin bubble. So he's wanting her to really think about your routines. You know, it's impossible to think 2 things at once, right? So if you're thinking about your routine, it's impossible to be thinking about how much pressure you have on yourself in the moment. But that takes a lot of mental discipline.
Lauren Farley from Michigan, lower left, is on balance beam. She follows 2 9.7s, which is not very uncharacteristic for Michigan.
But really solid beam routine so far. She actually was in the leadoff position for a really long time, but they found Carly Bauman, the freshman, in that leadoff position, so they were excited to be able to move Lauren Farley back in that lineup. Really nice, solid beam routine in the bottom left. And good finish. Sometimes, John, you just need one solid routine to get that momentum going, and I think Michigan just hit that with Lauren Farley's beam routine.
Michigan got one there, and Savannah Koyman, as you mentioned, the pressure on her on bars, hits a nice bar routine. Does take a couple steps odd steps actually on that double layout landing, gave away maybe a little more than she needed to. But meanwhile, Kent State on floor exercise started with a 9.825. Second gymnast Kennedy Weinpert a 9.75. Kiana Lewis in the 5 spot for West Virginia a 9.8. So Kent State and West Virginia not putting up huge scores, but hitting so far through this first rotation. And as we saw earlier today, hitting is half the battle. You just got to hit your routines and hope maybe some of these big guns in front of you give you an opportunity.
Well, we saw Michigan have some uncharacteristic wobbles at the beginning, and UCLA currently has a fall, so it's not insane to think that they're bulletproof at this point in the season, John.
Absolutely, that's what makes sports exciting. Sierra Brooks will be the next gymnast to go from Michigan. On beam, lower left, Lauren Farley, a 9.8 for her. Still waiting for Savannah Koyman's score as Sarah Julius gets ready to go on the uneven bars.
Very nice triple series. Little strange wobble there at the end. It almost looked like she did not need to do that, but nice lift off the beam, good rhythm.
Sierra Brooks, a sophomore out of Plainfield, Illinois, number 15th ranked gymnast in the all-around. Michigan with 3
Really
gymnasts ranked in the
huge.
top 25. So,
Huge Jaeger above the bar into a perfect cast handstand. You know, a lot of times when someone casts over on your team, the rest of the lineup plays safe, but not Sarah. In that top right box, she's hitting those vertical handstands very beautifully. One step on the dismount, but nice set for Sarah.
and they needed that. Savannah Koyman, a 9.775. So right now, UCLA, regardless of the rest of their teams, will count a 9.85 and a 9.775, trying to drop the 9.325 from Esparza. Nora Flatley and Margzetta Frazier are the last two gymnasts to go there. We're waiting for Sierra Brooks to score for Michigan. Lauren Farley, a 9.8. Kent State on floor. Kennedy Weinpert, a 9.75 in the second spot. Tashi Richard, a 9.825 in the third spot. So some good scores for the Golden Flashes.
You see Kyla Ross, first ever gymnast to win an Olympic gold medal, a World Championship gold medal, and an NCAA team gold medal.
That's a pretty good resume.
It's a pretty good resume. Individual NCAA title, excuse me. She's got a laundry list of them, John. It's hard to keep track sometimes.
I can only imagine how hard that is. Sierra Brooks for Michigan, a 9.825, and now Natalie Wojcik, one of the best gymnasts in the country, now upper right on balance beam.
She's actually the reigning national beam champion from 2019.
And that means she's still reigning because unfortunately we did not have a national championship last year. So a rare 2-year hold of that title.
And I really love watching her on beam. She does such clean gymnastics, no built-in deductions.
Big moment on bars as well for UCLA. That's Nora Flatley.
This is a big deal for Nora because this is only her second meet back this season after injuring her ankle in the season opener, and they are excited to have her back, especially on this event.
Great routine from Nora. Just gave away a little on that landing as well. UCLA not quite sticking those landings like they probably want to.
Hop on beam there for Natalie Wojcik, and a little wobble on her series. So I have to think, John, that both UCLA and Michigan are just warming up here. They are not looking as polished as we know they can be. So hopefully they're saving things for tomorrow.
Well, definitely. I was going to say the same thing. They look a little jittery, just a little bit off, not quite as sharp as I'm sure they would like to be. But again, it's a marathon, not a sprint. unless, of course, it's a sprint and then it's not a marathon. But it's a long way to go between now and qualifying to those NCAA championships tomorrow. So you just got to stay focused, stay in that bubble.
And you have to think, John, coming into this competition, you know that there's already been an upset at this location. It has to go through your mind, I don't want this to be us, right?
I think that's a great point, actually. They know what happened earlier today, and they know that the number 12 team in the country just got knocked off. UCLA is the number 13 team in the country, and it's one of those situations that you and I have talked about where it's kind of hard to not let something slip out of your hands. That's almost harder than it is to go out and grab something. And I think for UCLA and Michigan, they know they just don't want to let it get away. And that's not always the mindset you want to have as an athlete.
And we both know if UCLA and Michigan were to compete in tomorrow's competition, that means only 2 teams are going to NCAA championships. So you know that they're feeling that pressure in today's competition even.
Abbey High School on beam, top right, Margzetta Frazier, top left, and Kent State's Jade Brown. Kent State having a great floor rotation on the bottom of your screen.
Margzetta Frazier is a 2-time All-American on bars, but UCLA is not out of the doghouse yet until she lands. Oh, had to save that handstand. No problems on that dismount.
They needed to rally, and they did. The second gymnast up has a fall, but the rest of them do their job. The low counting score for UCLA will be a 9.775, so they survived that early mistake.
And good routine from Abbey High School. Again, no one did a lights out beam routine. They are a very good beam team, and I've seen them hit phenomenal sets. There was a little jittery here and there in your words, John, but hopefully they're excited to move on from beam and be aggressive on the other 3 events.
They got it done, right? Anytime you can just get 5 hit routines, I'm sure there's a certain amount of relief, but you're right. They are counting a 9.7. That's not normally what a Michigan team is going to do. So we see Jade Brown finishing her floor routine. One more gymnast from Kent State to go on this event.
Jade Brown is that super senior here on this team. Career high on floor is a 9.925.
And that would be a big number for them right now. They have 3 scores of 9.825 so far in this rotation, 1 score of a 9.75. If they can put up a couple 9.9s to finish this rotation out, dare I say, we might have a surprise leader after 1, that being Kent State. Margzetta Frazier, a 9.95. That is a season high score for her, career high, matches a career high score for her actually on that event. Nice way to finish the rotation.
And they needed that. Another high number to finish that rotation with.
Margzetta is the number 18 gymnast in the country in the all-around, as well, tied for 18th. As we see Abby Fletcher, she is the anchor for the Golden Flashes on floor exercise. Bryce Biggins, the head coach there in his 29th year, 11-time MAC Coach of the Year. Jade Brown, a 9.8 for her floor routine.
You know, I'm looking at these Michigan beam scores, and you know, head coach Bev Flocky is telling them, guys, you have to know the outcome before you begin. We have to be solid. This was the pep talk she gave us, John, on our coaches call. No amount of doubt can enter your mind. So I know she's reminding them of that right now. Nice double layout. Abby Fletcher was named All-MAC second team, and she's the 2021 MAC Senior Gymnast of the Year. My little sister, Jessie Peshik, actually won MAC Senior Gymnast of the Year when she was competing, so it's an incredibly big honor to receive.
I didn't know Jessie won that award. That's pretty cool.
Abby's described as the heart and soul of the lineup. Big tumbling and very little deductions. Good body shapes when she's twisting. Now I know why she's won so many floor titles. That was a really great routine.
And that was a great rotation from Kent State, exactly how they want to start. That is their best event, their highest ranking. They're 18th in the country. They have a high score of a 49.425 in that event. So not totally a surprise, and certainly they needed that with some of their weaker events yet to come, but that's going to put them in an outstanding spot. Really as good as they could expect after one rotation.
You know, after Abby Fletcher's floor routine, John, they might be in that second spot going into the second event here.
And that's going to be a strange situation for Michigan to look up at that scoreboard, because I believe that means Michigan is going to be in the third spot with UCLA in the first spot. So you got to keep your head down and stay focused. I think one thing Bev Plotke said her team didn't do a great job of at the Big Ten Championships a couple weeks ago. We have one gymnast yet to go on the floor exercise, Robin Kelly, a sophomore from Wakefield, Massachusetts, and New Hampshire University.
And good thing she's wearing a navy blue leotard. Otherwise, I mean, she wouldn't be invited into this session 2 here.
Seriously, she got the memo.
I really like her leotard, actually.
Abby Fletcher in the anchor position for Kent State, a 9.9. That does put them in second place, slightly ahead of Michigan after one rotation behind UCLA.
Front tuck into that double back, and in the break, I was just talking to a few friends about how difficult it is for individual competitors. I really commend all of them for qualifying. It's not an easy job to do, and they don't actually find out if they make NCAA championships until tomorrow. Double pike, just a little shy on that landing. Want to see her chest get a little bit more vertical.
Robin Kelly
And
from
nice
New
routine.
Hampshire, nicely done. That is going to wrap up rotation one. It was exciting. It had some surprises, and there is a lot more gymnastics. Bev Plotke's thankful for that. Michigan needs to make a little comeback. The most exciting weekend of women's gymnastics, April 16th and 17th. It is going to be fantastic. The semifinals, 8 teams come in, only 4 go to the national finals, and only 1 comes out as the national champion. Do not miss that. It's going to be a fantastic one. So here's what happened earlier today in all the regionals. This is session 1. Minnesota, Denver, they advance. Cal and OSU, if you were with us, you saw that one. That was an exciting one. Ohio State squeaks in there. Alabama, Arkansas, they had a job to do too. Iowa almost broke up that SEC party. And then Utah, ASU advance as well. It's been a great afternoon of gymnastics. And it's been a great one here so far. And if one thing we know for sure, we came into that first rotation, Sam, thinking, oh, well, this one's pretty obvious how this is going to play out. And we might as well just throw that plan out the door because already some surprises.
Yeah, it looks like the nerves are getting to both Michigan and UCLA early on. Kent State did a really good job on floor. Abby Fletcher with that nice double layout dismount, scoring a 9.9. And let's take a look at UCLA here, starting off on bars. Frida Esparza had a beautiful routine going and then unfortunately casted over. This is her first regional championship. She's a freshman, and so it's a little different energy competing for a team. Looks like the nerves got to her. Sarah Julius came back with a solid routine, just that one step on the dismount. And Nora Flatley back in the lineup. Beautiful on the bars, just had that hop on the landing, so they're looking to be a little bit more sharp on the other 3 events. But Margzetta finished off the rotation with a beautiful 9.95. Great rhythm throughout this routine, nice handstands, and you know, it always stands out to me is her double layout. She has a nice stretched body position and it's way above the bar. And Michigan, they also had a bunch of uncharacteristic wobbles. First one up, Carly Bauman right here. I really respect their fight. No one came off the beam, but they're also gonna want to be a little bit sharper on the other 3 events. Natalie Wojcik is one to watch, not just on beam, but the other 3 events. Beautiful, clean gymnastics.
The interesting thing about Michigan on beam is they scored almost 7/10 lower than their season high on that event, and that's without any major falls. You know, they had that one big wobble, but other than that, there was just a lot of tenths. They got picked apart, and that's why their team score is low relative to what they are used to. Now in the second rotation, Kent State will be going to the vault, try to keep things rolling there. West Virginia, they will move to the uneven bars. UCLA on the balance beam. Got to get through balance beam. It's not a meet till you do that, and then Michigan tries to straighten things out a little bit on the floor exercise. West Virginia put up a 48.725 in their first rotation on vault. And they are the play-in team, so to speak, as we see their head coach Jason Butts in his 10th season at West Virginia. They had to defeat Penn State just to get into this session. And so for them to advance beyond tonight, I think would be the biggest upset, I think, in women's collegiate gymnastics this season. But you know, I guarantee you Jason Butts told them, you go out there, you have fun, do your gymnastics, worry about yourself, and you know, you just kind of hang around. You do your best job and you hang around and you just see where the chips fall. But this is a great accomplishment. They were on the bubble late in the season, so to be here, I think he's very pleased.
And some people could look at them having an entire meet yesterday as practice, right? Michigan, Kent State, UCLA did not have that, but West Virginia kind of got the cobwebs off yesterday. And they're only about 2 tenths behind Michigan.
So you're saying that's an advantage to them. You're saying everybody, it's a disadvantage. Sam, are you going to say it? Put it out there on national TV that it's a disadvantage not to be in the play-in game?
I think it depends what team you are for. I think for West Virginia, that their adrenaline is overpowering how sore their body may be from yesterday's competition.
There you go. Well said. Very diplomatic of you. Yeah, as you mentioned, just 2 tenths behind the Michigan Wolverines. And I think if you would have told them that after one rotation, that would be the situation, they would probably be surprised. But here they are. So looking at your screen, UCLA is in bottom left on the balance beam. Michigan is on the floor exercise bottom right. Upper left, Kent State, after that outstanding floor rotation, will be on the vault. And then West Virginia moves to the uneven bars. First gymnast on floor exercise, Carly Bauman. First gymnast to go on the balance beam for UCLA, Kendall Poston.
You know, it's interesting, Michigan is on floor, and that's the event that they've had some trouble on this year, and UCLA is on beam, and that's the event they have been struggling with this year. So this is going to be a really interesting rotation for both of those teams.
That was Esperanza Barca starting things off for Kent State on vault. First gymnast that was Cami Klein starting things off for vault. Esperanza Barca will be starting things off for West Virginia on bars.
Kendall Poston adjusted well on her series. You could tell she was a little bit off, but that's when you know it's going to be a hit beam routine, when you can adjust without getting frazzled, and that's what I'm seeing from her right here on this beam routine. It's always nice having a senior lead off your beam team. They've been here before, they understand how to handle the pressure, and someone like Kendall is a leader for this team, and she is fiercely competitive. So great spot for her to be in that first slot on the UCLA beam team, and starting off with a stuck landing. Not a bad job. Oh. Fall for Michigan, Carly Bauman. On that last pass, it just looked like she didn't quite get her chest in the rotation over enough. That is not the way they want to start this second rotation here.
Wow, this is not good for the Wolverines. Certainly a lot of gymnastics to go, but a shaky beam rotation. They come into this rotation in the third spot, not where you want to be. Then they start off floor, an event where you think, hey, they're going to come out with a little fire in their belly, and they have a miss. And meanwhile, Kent State over on vault, just continuing to land on their feet, looking for their opportunity.
You know, in the way Carly Bauman fell, you have to think she was maybe going for that perfect stick. And sometimes trying to be too perfect in these pressure situations actually is a disadvantage, and silly mistakes like that can happen.
Abarca for West Virginia led off with a 9.8. Now Kendra Combs, the second gymnast to go, mounts the uneven bars.
Nice release pack salto to get things going on bars in that top right. Finishing giant full to that double back. Clean landing, not a perfect stick, but oh. Quickly, bottom left, Samantha Sakti just had a fall on her series on beam. John, what is happening with Michigan and UCLA right now? This is not the way they wanted to start this competition.
This is
Sakti
incredible.
Actually fell on her series at the last meet. She's been really up and down this season. Another fall from Sakti on beam, and you can tell the pressure is just really getting to her and those nerves. That's when you take a little bit more time on the floor. You have 30 seconds before you have to get back up on the beam. So really wish that she would have taken that time to take a big deep breath before getting back on the beam, because sometimes, as we all know, John, if you get too frazzled, one mistake can turn into two, and you don't want that to happen here in this competition.
Yeah, and for UCLA, what you gotta hope does not happen is sometimes one missed routine from a gymnast can lead to another one from another gymnast, and that is what you do not want to have happen if you're UCLA or Michigan right now. Michigan starting with their own miss. Carly Bauman a 9.075. Kendall Poston led off with a 9.85, but it got derailed with Sakti in that second spot. Meanwhile, Kent State not putting up huge scores, 9.7, 9.75 from the first two gymnasts. But they're landing on their feet. West Virginia doing the same thing on bars, 9.8, 9.7, 7.5 from their first two athletes.
I love this floor routine from Nicoletta, Michigan, in the bottom right. She does such a good job performing it. She had an out of bounds last competition, and from what I saw, she stayed in bounds from the passes that I saw. They needed that one here in Michigan.
Abby Fletcher for Kent State on vault. Oh, and bailed out of that one. So a break now for Kent State as well. That looked a little scary.
Man, you know, John, they talk about sticks being contagious, but mistakes and falls can also be contagious in a negative way, obviously. And I feel like that's what we're seeing a lot of tonight.
Absolutely. It's going to turn this.
But with all the mistakes in the world, there is not somebody I would rather go on beam other than Marzetta Frazier. When we talked to head coach Chris Waller, we asked him about beam, and he said, you know, beam at Pac-12s, it wasn't a beam problem, it was a bubble problem, that Bruin bubble. He said that a lot of girls were looking at the scores and they got distracted, and it really threw them off their game, and so they worked a lot on staying in the zone. Marzetta is doing a really good job performing this routine. Coaches have been really impressed with her this season. They say that she's been dialed in and competing like a very mature athlete. And quickly to floor, Natalie Wojcik here. That was the pass that she fell on at Big Tens. She was able to get it around, but it didn't look comfortable for her.
And I believe that's the pass that Bev told us she changed up because of a sore knee. Is that right, Sam?
Yeah.
Is that the combination
so they
she put in?
They changed the pass to make it easier because of a sore knee at Big Tens, and that's what she fell on. And they kept it as the watered-down pass, but it looks like it's still giving her some trouble. So I'm sure they're hoping she can do the upgraded pass in future competitions.
Nicoletta Koulos, right before Natalie Wojcik went, got a 9.9. That is a career-high score for her, so that is the good sign. If you're a Michigan Wolverine fan, Natalie Wojcik, a small break there, not a catastrophe, but just flirting with danger. Now, Kent State, they've had a little bit of a break on vault. Now their scores 9.7, 9.75, 9.575, and then a 9.0. So maybe taking a little bit of the drama out of these UCLA and Michigan mistakes as far as making a run. But West Virginia, on the other hand, putting up big scores on bars, 2 9.8s and a 9.775 so far.
Well, John, don't you feel like first session it was everybody had to be on their A++ game? And it seems like so far in this competition, it's who can make the least amount of mistakes to qualify to tomorrow's competition.
I think the first session was you in college, and then the second session is so far has been me in college, just trying to get by. You were getting all A's. I was just trying to survive.
Well, let's take you to the bottom
UCLA.
left. And this is a really big moment for Nora Flatley and a really big moment for UCLA. She's been out all season. This is her first competitive beam routine in the 2021 season, and she's a phenomenal beam worker, and what a time to show up, but also a lot of pressure. No problems there. Coaches say that she really brings a swagger to this lineup, and they feel like that's been missing. So hopefully getting her solid beam routine back is going to help the confidence of this beam team tremendously here. A former national team member. She's been on international assignments. She knows how to handle pressure, even though it's been a long time. And man, I didn't see any deductions in that beam routine. That's going to be a big number from UCLA, and they need that.
Over on floor exercise, that's Abby Heiskell, her first time competing floor exercise this season for the Wolverines. Certainly a big moment. She follows Natalie Wojcik's 9.8.
I've loved watching Abby in her career. She is such a solid gymnast all around. She's been an icy competitor for them. And look, of course, both Nora and Abbey High School have their first competitive routines, and they went well for them. Maybe they just needed some fresh blood in these lineups here.
Meanwhile, West Virginia having themselves quite an uneven bar rotation. Kayla Yancey matches a season high score for her, a 9.8. Kiana Yancey just nailed the bar routine as well. Nora Flatley scored a 9.875. Shay Campbell will be the next gymnast to go for UCLA on balance beam. Waiting for Abbey High School score. Sierra Brooks will be next there, and Kent State has finished up vault, obviously, and that's why you do not see it on your screen.
Shay Campbell has been an extremely amazing freshman for this UCLA lineup on all of the events. Ooh, starting off with that double wolf turn and had an uncharacteristic wobble there. You know, even though Nora hit that great routine, that does not mean the pressure is taken off the back end of this lineup. They know they still have to hit in order to not count a fall here on beam.
Shay Campbell is the number 17th ranked gymnast in the all-around. Sierra Brooks on the bottom of your screen starting her floor exercise. Abbey High School at 9.95. Michigan getting things straightened out.
Hangs on to that beam routine from Shay Campbell. And nice full in from Sierra Brooks. I think she fake grabs her legs, where she just needs somewhere to put them, so she touches her legs, but she doesn't need to pull them because that's how high she is. Finishing clean double pike from Sierra Brooks, and they locked in another hit routine. They just need one more to be in the clear in order to not count a fall, and UCLA is in the same position with Nikki Shapiro.
Nikki Shapiro, the anchor, senior out of Los Angeles, California. Sister Sam actually was an All-American at Stanford on their women's gymnastics team. Only done beam 3 times this season, and it hasn't been exactly as smooth as she would have liked. Sam's had some ups and downs.
She's been training really hard to earn this place in the lineup, and actually she's made her routine in the most clutch scenarios so far this season. So I know they're hoping she can do it again here tonight.
Shay Campbell at 9.8. West Virginia finished their bar rotation with a career high for Emily Holmes-Hackert, a 9.85. Cannot overlook that incredible bar rotation for the Mountaineers.
Gabby Wilson getting set to go here on this floor routine, and it's one more that they need. UCLA is in the clear, not having to count a fall from Nikki Shapiro's beam routine, and Michigan is hoping for the same thing here on floor.
You know, one thing can be said about the great teams, and the great teams typically don't make mistakes, but when they do, the great teams are able to go back up and hit in that intense pressure of following a mistake, and so far Michigan and UCLA showing that right now.
Yeah, you can't tell from Gabby Wilson that the pressure is on. That was a textbook full in, legs glued together, doesn't even touch her legs.
Sierra Brooks, a 9.925. That's a season high score for her.
Working out of that second pass. It makes sense that she tied for the Big Ten floor title. Head coach Bev Plotke said that she is truly a coach's dream, and that's why she's competing more, because she wanted to be more productive for this Michigan team.
Left part of your screen, that is one of the individuals competing in tonight's competition, Ava Vertiflor from Penn State, getting ready to go on the uneven bars.
And Michigan is in the same boat as UCLA now. They are both in the clear, officially not having to count a fall so far in this competition.
And that will move Michigan into at least second spot. Kent State not having a great vault rotation. The senior from Allen, Texas now mounts the uneven bars for Penn State.
Nice handstand. Straddled Jaeger. Locks in another handstand. Really like her lines. Beautiful all the way to her toe point. Nice. Wow. On top of the bar, giant full.
That was phenomenal routine. Yeah.
That was the only... it's hard to say. I want to give it to her. It's regional championships. But that was the biggest deduction. That questionable stick was the biggest deduction of the whole routine. What an amazing bar routine.
Yeah, the toe point in the body position on the handstands, I don't think you can do it better. And you can see the team over there, West Virginia, giving some support to the individuals in their rotation. Always nice to see. We have one more to go here in this rotation. Senior Alyssa Bonsall will be the final gymnast to go from Penn State. UCLA and Michigan will be 1-2 respectively after this rotation. West Virginia moves into the third spot. Kent State will move into the fourth position. So that vault was not kind to Kent State and the Golden Flashes. Sarah Brown, the head coach at Penn State University, in her fourth season. She was a gymnast at Missouri, and she's done a good job at Penn State. Had a chance to work with them or watch them last season and talk to Sarah, and she said she was pregnant at the time and said she was going to have a baby, and it was going to be right during the Big Ten Championship, so she wasn't going to be in attendance for the conference meet that year.
I think having a child is just a little bit more important than a conference championship meet, but we all know it still is a big deal in the gymnastics world. Wow. Another phenomenal bar routine. And John, you got to think, it's bittersweet for these individual competitors from Penn State, right? Because they wanted to be in this competition with their team.
Absolutely. And you think, they're going out there as an individual, but I promise you they are representing their entire squad. So we flip-flop the standings again. Now UCLA at top. Michigan moves up to second. West Virginia now in the third spot. Kent State in fourth. 2 more rotations to go here from Morgantown. One of the athletes you buy tickets to see, and that's Nia Dennis, and she moves to the floor exercise with her team in this rotation, and she went viral earlier this year with her floor team. You'll get a chance to see it live in a few moments. It is pretty special. So 2 rotations in, Sam, and it just always gets more interesting. However, the part that we expected is to see Michigan and UCLA at the top after this meet's over, but certainly that's where we thought they'd be right now.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Both teams are really fighting. It hasn't been an easy road for them in the first two events. They are wanting to be more aggressive here on those final two events and really get their bearings here in the competition.
So some of the highlights from that second rotation. West Virginia had a good one.
Kiana Yancey, really nice double layout dismount. Big hugs to celebrate. And on Michigan, problems came on that very first routine. Carly Bauman just didn't get her feet under her on her very last pass. Not how they wanted to start it, but the rest of the lineup did a phenomenal job getting it back in. This is Nicoletta Koulos saving that out of bounds. And Abby High School, first floor routine of the year. Way to dominate it for her. She is such an icy competitor on the other events. I knew this was going to be no different for her. And UCLA, Nora Flatley, this is her first competition beam routine in the 2021 season, and she had the best beam routine of the UCLA squad. So I'm thinking they just need some fresh energy to get things shaken up there on UCLA's beam rotation.
Hopefully they will smooth things out. Chris Waller, his second season as the head coach of the UCLA Bruins. You know, talking to Chris earlier this week too, Sam, I asked him about the pressure of taking over for a legend like Val Condos Field, and he said, you know, as long as I do my job and I'm at my best and I'm focusing on my job, it's not a distraction and it's not pressure. If I sit back and worry about those things, it does become a problem. But he knows he has the skills to do it. He's been there for 19 seasons, even though this is just his second as head coach, and I think he's going to do a great job. Chris and I have known each other for a long time. I'm not going to tell you how long because that'll date both of us, but we were teammates on the 92 Olympic team, and he's a heck of a guy, and he'll do a heck of a job for the Bruins.
He's a really great technical coach, and I know I've had many conversations with him, and Valerie Condos Field both coached me, and they were a great team together. And he said, look, I want to use her as an inspiration for how to lead a team well, and he's doing a great job there at UCLA the past couple years, and not an easy 2 years to have to deal with COVID.
Yeah, welcome to head coaching. So in this rotation, Michigan goes to vault, Kent State will be on bars, West Virginia on the balance beam, UCLA on the floor exercise. I thought the interesting part for Michigan in that last rotation is they start out with a fall and you think, oh my gosh, things are going to come off the tracks. They put up a season high score on the floor exercise in that rotation. Meanwhile, so did West Virginia on the uneven bar. So two season best performances for a couple of these teams here as we head into this third rotation.
And that's where you see really tremendous teams. You know, Michigan saw that mistake, and you know they kind of huddled up and they were like, oh, heck no, this is not how this is happening. And they kind of band together and be a little bit more aggressive from the rest of the floor rotation. And I think that's what we saw from the back half of the lineup.
It almost feels like, too, Sam, maybe you've experienced this as an athlete. Sometimes you go into a meet and you're tight and you have maybe a mistake, and finally you're like, you know what, forget it. Just stop thinking about it and just do your gymnastics. It almost just shakes it off of you, and you get this aggressiveness that you need to have at the start, and it just, things kind of smooth out.
I call it angry gymnastics, John. You know, when someone has a fall and you're just, you know, you're frustrated for them, with them, and you're like, this is not happening. And somehow, you know, just that sort of aggressive tone, pep talk to yourself, gives you a little more oomph and focus. Let's just go there for your routines.
So just giving you the geography again, up top left is Michigan on vault. Top right is Kent State on bars. Bottom left is West Virginia on the balance beam. And then bottom right will be UCLA on the floor exercise. Looks like we might be ready to go with Abbey High School on vault, maybe our first athlete to perform here in rotation number 3.
And I'm hearing in the background a Let's Go Blue chant, and I know that they're cheering for Michigan, but I have to laugh considering every person, even the individual athletes, are wearing blue tonight.
They probably all appreciate it, I gotta think.
Yeah. Huge Yurchenko 1.5 from Abbey High School, and she actually scored a 9.975 last meet, and she scored it twice in a row. Let's take a look at Sakai Wright on floor, bottom right. It's a really fun routine to get things going for the Bruins. You're hearing a lot of Backstreet Boys, Boys to Men, NSYNC. Brings me back to middle school.
Let's just say that doesn't bring me back quite to middle school, but I do remember it. You know, UCLA is known for their performance ability on floor exercise. And it's funny, when we talked to Chris Waller earlier this week, Sam, he said one thing that he wants to improve on floor is their performance quality. And can you explain maybe where he's coming from? Because it always seems like they're the gold standard.
I think for them, focusing on the performance means they're not focusing on that negative voice or the pressure or the nerves. So I think that's where it comes from, more than we're not doing a good enough job in that area. Quickly in the top left, Natalie Wojcik. She scored a perfect 10 last meet. She's the reigning Big Ten vault champion. She does a huge Yurchenko 1.5.
Michigan #1 in the country on this event.
Wow.
Oh! And
She
this is going to be interesting.
Again.
It's going to be
Dang.
interesting, Sam. Abbey High School right before her, a 9.925. Do you want to make the call? Do you want to put yourself, are you going to be the weatherman of picking scores for women's gymnastics now?
Yeah, I think it should be a 10. I mean, Michigan is the #1 ranked team on vault, and that's why the #2 gymnast can score a perfect 10. Unbelievable.
It'll be interesting to see from our angle, which the judges do not have. It looked like she had a little foot brake as she came on, but from the side, I don't know that the judges can actually see that break. It should be a deduction if they can see it, but man, otherwise that was pretty unbelievable.
Yeah, when we talked to head coach Bev Flocky, she said they always have had big, nice vaults, but they've, in recent meets, learned how to control the landings. And she said, now we look forward to going to vault. We don't think about the stick. We think about big, high vaults, and they just happen to stick. And that's the biggest difference for them on vault.
As we mentioned, the #1 ranked team in the country on that event. They have a high score of a 49.8, which is over a 9.95 average. They have 5 gymnasts ranked in the top 25 in the country.
Another Yurchenko 1.5 for Michigan on vault, and they just are full of them. Huge, nice body positions. She didn't quite find the landing as well as Natalie, but nice body positions in the air.
Natalie got a 9.925 over on floor exercise. This is Emma Andres. She follows Sakai Wright's 9.875, so good start for the Bruins as well.
Emma Andres actually usually leads off the Bruins on floor, so it's interesting that they changed the lineup slightly. If you're watching this floor routine in the bottom right and wondering, what's the theme of this floor routine? Well, it's androgynous fashion, not masculine or feminine, kind of like what David Bowie and Prince would embody if they were doing a floor routine.
You know, I was going to say that, but I just think it's cool, personally.
It is cool. BJ Doss, UCLA choreographer, has done a remarkable job with all of these floor routines. And hopefully you saw that Yurchenko 1.5 coming out of the sky from Michigan, another one in the bank for them.
That was Naomi Morrison, Gabby Wilson, a 9.875. Natalie Wojcik does not get the 10, 9.925 for her. They might have seen that foot brake coming onto the vault table. Meanwhile, West Virginia, they are continuing to roll. They started with a 9.75. Rachel Horning in the second spot nailed her routine, still waiting for that score. 9.85, a season high for Rachel Horning. We're going to have to keep an eye on that total score for West Virginia. This might be their best meet of the season. Abby Pearson, bottom left. is the gymnast competing for the Mountaineers on balance beam.
Standing front tuck to a wolf jump. What a combination on beam in the bottom left. Abby Pearson, I love the way you work beam. She is fierce, she's solid, she's sharp.
Oh! And you jinxed her.
I have to think that was my fault. I jinxed her. She didn't quite get her shoulders up on that series. Didn't get the turnover she needed. Jam-packed with difficulty, though. Wow. Gabby Wilson. Is that Gabby Wilson?
That was Raina Gugino for Michigan, nailing another
Raina.
1.5 twist.
I can't keep them straight because they all do phenomenal Yurchenko 1.5s. It's going to be a big number for Michigan.
Michigan clearly finding their groove here in the second and the third rotations. Oh, and
Marzetta
Frazier. Yep.
Looks like she went out of bounds there. You know, something to remember here about these UCLA floor teams, especially Marzetta Frazier. The complex choreography requires so much more endurance and stamina. The voguing is my favorite part of a floor team. Finishing double pike, catches that landing. Nice save there.
I never get tired of watching UCLA on floor. Just entertainment, great athleticism, but entertainment from start to finish. Another. Wow.
Sticks are contagious.
3.
You know, I'm pausing here because my mouth is open. I am stunned. These are beautiful vaults. They are proving why they are #1 in the country on this event.
3 stuck Yurchenko 1.5. Most teams in the country would be happy to get 1. Michigan, man, that was fun to watch.
And it's such a strategy because a Yurchenko 1.5 starts from a 10.0, whereas a Yurchenko full is a 9.95. So if you think of it that way, they actually are starting ahead of most of the teams in the competition.
So Shea Campbell next up for UCLA on floor exercise. Kendra Combs on balance beam for West Virginia. She's following Abby Pearson's unfortunate 9.225, so a break for the Mountaineers in what's been an otherwise pretty perfect competition, and that's very unfortunate. They'll have to count a fall.
That's what you don't want to happen, is that one fall becomes contagious and becomes 2 falls. You know, Nia Dennis, Marzetta Frazier get a lot of attention on floor for UCLA, but this is Shea Campbell in the bottom of your screen, and it's one of my favorite floor routines on the UCLA team as well.
She's ranked number 17 in the nation on this event.
Chris Waller calls her the quiet storm. And Nia Dennis says she seems quiet, but she always hypes me up, and that's the mark of a good teammate. She recently earned Pac-12 Freshman Newcomer of the Year, and well-deserved. She's had a phenomenal season so far, being so productive for this UCLA team. Good save on that landing. I've seen a lot of girls, not just UCLA. We saw that under rotation from the Michigan gymnast Carly Bauman. I wonder if the floor is not as bouncy as they're used to, or if it's a stamina and endurance issue or a nerves issue.
Well, you know what? The other thing, and we talked to UCLA and Chris Waller about this, the travel for them was pretty brutal. I mean, it's like going from New York to London almost, coming from LA to Morgantown. And I could imagine, I know for me as an athlete, when I was competing, it always took me longer than the other athletes to kind of adjust and get acclimated. I would not be surprised, assuming UCLA advances, to see them look a lot sharper, actually, day 2 than even day 1.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and especially because they haven't been traveling that much. So you haven't had that practice of adjusting to the time zones, your fueling schedule, or even just your sleep schedule.
That was Rachel Dekovich for Kent State on the uneven bar. She is the 7th-ranked all-arounder in the MAC, one of the leaders of that Golden Flashes team. It's not been a great bar rotation for them. 9.75, 9.675, 9.45 there in the middle. Jade Brown, who just went up right before Rachel, 9.775. Kiana Lewis on beam for West Virginia, trying to stop the bleeding. 2 misses back-to-back for them. They want to finish strong here. As we see on the bottom of the screen for UCLA, Pauline Tratz.
Coaches say that she has really stepped up as a leader this year, and it's transcending into her gymnastics. Clean double pike.
Pauline is tied for 21st in the country so far on the floor exercise this season. She comes from Karlsruhe, Germany, where she was on the German national team. Actually finished 3rd on the floor exercise in the German nationals.
It's difficult to see because we're looking at a 3-box here, but she has the best facial expressions throughout this floor routine. So entertaining to watch.
Great finish, by the way, to the bar rotation for Penn State with that nailed double layout.
A little low on that double back. And again, all the reasons that we talked about earlier of the issues that we're seeing throughout this competition on floor. And it'll be really interesting to see in tomorrow's competition, no matter who qualifies, because it's the first competition where there are 2 meets in 1 weekend, and that is really tough on your legs. The only team that we've heard has been practicing this is BYU, and unfortunately we are not going to get to see them in tomorrow's competition.
West Virginia finishing up their beam rotation with Chloe Asper. Right before her, Kiana Lewis in 9.775.
Nice handspring layout. Looking for her to keep her rhythm consistent on this beam routine. Solid beam routine from Chloe.
West Virginia was rolling, had some mistakes in the middle there, but finished strong. Kent State's done, Michigan's done. On the uneven bars is Kylie Georgini from New Hampshire, individual competing. And on the bottom, of course, is a routine many of you watching have been waiting for. Nia Dennis.
Front layout, step out to a double back. Oh no, too much adrenaline there. It's going to be a deduction for the step back and a deduction out of bounds. And it's really important for her right now to let it go, take a big deep breath, and remember that the rest of her routine counts.
You kind of alluded to this earlier, Sam. How hard is it when you have such a theatrical routine and you're such a performer in your dance part of your routine? How hard is it then to get focused on the tumbling part? You kind of disconnect from me? Are they two separate thought processes? And how do you manage that when you have such a performance like Nia Dennis?
I think UCLA does a good job of practicing this style of performance in practice. So I'm not sure that's quite different in the meet. But it's really important to remember to breathe throughout your dance, because they don't have much room or many slow parts. Finishing Rudy, and she did a really good job of not turning that one mistake into two or into three. So I know she's not going to be pleased with that routine, but again, if they qualify to tomorrow's competition, it's sometimes good to have something to improve so you can focus on that. You don't want to go lights out. They're still on the rise. According to Chris Waller, they still have not reached their peak yet, and they're hoping that comes in tomorrow or if they qualify to the NCAA championships.
This is Cassidy Rushlow, sophomore from Worcester, Massachusetts. Trained at Tim Daggett Gold Medal Gymnastics, a name those in the gymnastics world know well.
Beautiful side
Unfortunately,
aerial.
she had a fall earlier in this routine.
But strong finish, John, and sometimes that's the toughest thing you can do.
I got to think on beam, it's as tough as any event. You come off that beam and then to gather yourself and get back up, man, got to be tough. Chris Waller talking to his Bruins. They know they got one more event to go to punch their ticket to the finals of the regional championships. Michigan well on their way. One more rotation here from Morgantown. Earlier this afternoon, Sam, Cal Bears, they're on fire.
They looked calm, cool, inconsistent, something that we've seen them do all throughout this season. They don't look rattled. They just look like it's a normal practice, and that's something they've been practicing. Ohio State, on the other hand, was exciting to watch. They have high-flying gymnastics, and they got rewarded by being the upset team, finishing this beam rotation. Ella Hodgins, when they clinched the victory over BYU to qualify to tomorrow's competition.
The pressure was on at the end of the meet. We talked about finishing on beam, and they answered the bell, Ohio State did. The Cal Bears and the Buckeyes advance, and who will they meet? It looks to be Michigan and UCLA. They were the top two teams coming into this session, and so far here through three, it looked a little precarious after that first rotation, Sam. It looked like we were going to turn this thing upside down, but now UCLA, Michigan seem to have taken control with one event to go.
It's been a bit of an uncharacteristic meet, and I have to think that both of these two top teams in the session, UCLA and Michigan, are just getting the cobwebs out for tomorrow's competition or the rest of the postseason.
Let's look at what Michigan did to really establish themselves in this last rotation.
It was exciting to watch. Yurchenko 1.5 left and right. Abbey High School starts things off with a nearly stuck landing. Following her was Natalie Wojcik. Huge Yurchenko 1.5 to a stuck landing. I thought it was a bit underscored, but who am I? Another look there. She stuck it cold. This is Sierra Brooks. quick twister, does a nice job locking her heels together in that stick to a salute. I don't know what these judges are taking. It's looking pretty good to me. Finishing off is Reina Gugino. Another stuck Yurchenko 1.5. Amazing. Looking at UCLA, they had a good rotation, but it wasn't perfect from them. Nia Dennis had this over-rotation in the first pass, little deduction, and of course that out of bounds, but does a nice job picking it back up and stuck this middle pass. Great performance, and again, locks in that last pass for minimal deductions.
So Nia Dennis and UCLA, they go to the vault in this final rotation. Michigan will be on the uneven bars. Kent State moves to the beam. West Virginia moves to the floor exercise. As we mentioned, it looks to me a lot like a Michigan-UCLA advancement to the regional finals. They have quite a cushion, over a point on the third place team. UCLA is in second. They have over a point on Kent State. But the battle here is who's going to win this meet, Michigan or UCLA. It's going to come down to this last rotation. Michigan does have a .45 lead, which is pretty significant. But Kent State and West Virginia battling out, kind of a battle within the meet here. Who's going to get third, who's going to get first? It would be a big accomplishment for West Virginia to not just win the play-in game to get in here, but then to finish in that top three. I think for them would be a huge win.
And I'm liking what I'm seeing from them in this competition. They did have some trouble on beam, but they have a lot of difficulty, and they were aggressive and threw some big skills, and I really like to see that from these teams.
Michigan on the uneven bar. Scott Sherman in the foreground there. One of the main bar coaches. There's Bev Plotke in her 32nd season at the University of Michigan. She has done just about everything. She's won 23 Big Ten titles, most of any coach in any sport in the Big Ten. She's gotten to the NCAA championships 24 times. And I've talked to her in the past about how important it is to win an NCAA championship and how important to her legacy. And she didn't seem to feel that compelled, that it solidified her legacy. She wants to, there's no doubt about it. But I think this year, when you look at the teams across the country and the uncertainty and kind of the wide openness of the field, plus you add in the fact that Michigan is having a career season, I think, Sam, you can kind of tell talking to her, she goes, this might be the best chance that she's had.
Yeah, it was interesting hearing from her, and you know, some college coaches are superstitious, but Bev actually said this is the first time in a while where we feel like we can do it. She said, I don't think people should count us out. We're a great team and very determined, so I'm excited to see what they do the rest of this postseason.
As we mentioned, they are on the uneven bars. West Virginia on floor exercises, .275 behind Kent State. Kent State is on the balance beam. UCLA on the vault.
UCLA is ranked 8th on vault. The goal for them here on this event is to not try too hard. They don't need to give 110%, just what they do in practice every day. And we're seeing a lot of those silly mistakes on landings throughout this competition, out of bounds on floor. And I mean, it's hard to tell an athlete don't have more adrenaline, right? But it's more about controlling that adrenaline and using it for the good.
UCLA upper left, to their right, Abbey High School has already completed her bar routine. For Michigan, lower left on the balance beam, Sam Henry for Kent State will get things started. Meanwhile, on floor exercise, Kiana Yancey's already going. So another nice start for the West Virginia Mountaineers.
Let's check out bars. Carly Bauman, the freshman, hasn't had her best day today. She started off that floor rotation with a fall, so it's really going to be great to see how she responds to that on bars. Some athletes can say, oh no, I can't believe that happened. Focus on the mistake, and somehow that mistake turns into 2 mistakes. Or, we talked about this earlier, you can do angry gymnastics, take a big deep breath and say, I know I'm better than that. Pauline Tratz with stuck Yurchenko full for UCLA in the top left. Man, they're icing out this freshman Carly Bauman on bars.
They are. Sam Henry on balance beam for Kent State. She gets a hit. So the little battle between West Virginia and Kent State, they both start with hits. Kiana Yancey for West Virginia, a season-high 9.85. Next gymnast to go for West Virginia on floor will be McKenna Lennon. Sarah Haxton will be on beam for Kent State. And on floor exercise, I'm sorry, that is where West Virginia is right now. McKenna Lennon.
Rudy layout step out. For that floor rotation, West Virginia, McKenna Lennon. Oh no.
That was Carly Bauman coming off the bars.
I hate to jump routines, but you saw that too, John. Another cast over from Michigan. We saw that earlier with UCLA. And it actually happened with one of UCLA's freshmen as well. And again, it's the nerves and the pressure that we're speaking about. This is a big competition this weekend. Kendall Poston in the top left for UCLA. 10-0 vault. Does a good job saving that landing.
McKenna Lennon finishing up on floor exercise. Sarah Haxton on balance beam for Kent State with a big fall. So the battle for third place even gets more interesting.
Man, the beam, the bars, the floor. Usually it's one event that gives teams trouble in a competition, but it seems to be very well-rounded tonight.
Equal opportunity troubles on every event. You have nailed it. It's a much sloppier meet this evening than this afternoon.
And it puts a lot of pressure on Gabby Wilson, the sophomore from Michigan.
Winning this meet again is... Go ahead, Sam.
Even if they count a fall, they will probably qualify in tomorrow's competition. But if you do have to count a fall, you're losing a little bit of that confidence that you've built throughout this season. So it's really important for them to put up a solid lineup throughout the rest of the competition.
Sakai right on vault. Nice Yurchenko 1.5. There's another stuck landing. Trying to chase down the Wolverines. I'm sure the Bruins would love to come out of here with the W.
And this is the second time in a row she stuck that Yurchenko 1.5. Last week she scored a 9.95 to get her career best and became the Pac-12 vault champion. So it looks like she got a little confidence from that.
All I know is the way she ran down that runway, almost tackling her teammate, I'd be a little scared the next time she sticks that vault. I might stay out of the way.
I think she ran faster to give her teammates a hug than she did for that vault.
I think you're absolutely right. UCLA 4.5 tenths behind Michigan.
What's happening for Michigan on bars? They're really icing out these gymnasts. Let Gabby Wilson go.
Carly Bauman put up a 9.375, the score they want to drop. But we do know what happened the last time Michigan had a fall. They still put up a season high on that event. That was floor exercise. See how they handle this pressure.
She's swinging calmly. Nice handstand on that bail. Finishing up double layout. Clean landing, not quite a stick, but a step in the right direction for Michigan, getting them back on the track here.
Sakai Wright score on vault at 9.9. Markzetta Frazier, the next vaulter to go. Top left.
The key for her is basics. So you saw she twisted a little early off the table, and that was a reflection on how she landed there.
Kent State on beam, Sarah Haxton a 9.2. Riley Danielson, unfortunately, the gymnast up now, also had a fall. West Virginia coming on strong on floor exercise, a 9.85 and a 9.825 from their first two athletes.
Back handspring layout to a back full. Good finish for Riley Danielson on beam for Kent State. And they really want, speaking of Michigan getting back on track, Kent State really wants to get back on track here to finish up this beam rotation.
Trying to hold on to that third spot here in the second session of these regional semifinals. Michigan trying to hold on to the top spot while UCLA comes on strong. Margzetta Frazier a 9.8 for her Yurchenko full. Still waiting for Gabby Wilson's score. You mentioned it. Those scores coming in slow on bars.
Huge Yurchenko layout full. Finds that landing. They're pumped up over there on vault. Nicoletta locks in that handstand on bars. This is a clean routine, finishing double layout, just to hop on that landing. But again, they're looking for those hit sets after that fall early in the lineup.
The first gymnast to go after the fall is Gabby Wilson. What did she do to answer? A 9.925, that's a career high for her. Unique beam sequence there, if you caught that bottom left.
I'm into that.
I like it too. Originality.
This is Rachel Dekovich, the sophomore for Kent State on beam, and she actually had a fall last meet. So how much pressure is that to go after two falls? Nice series, straight down the middle. Good save on that front toss. The bottom left. Solid finish for Rachel, getting Kent State back to those hit routines on beam.
Shea Campbell just finished the vault rotation for UCLA. Nia Dennis a 9.925, so a solid rotation for UCLA. West Virginia rolling on the floor exercise. Emily Holmes-Hackard, the third gymnast up, put up a career high 9.9. So while Kent State was having troubles on beam, West Virginia is telling them, look, we might not make it to the next round, but by gosh, we are going to get in that third spot as a team, which they would be thrilled with. That would be a huge accomplishment. Now back to the bars with Sierra Brooks, the fifth gymnast to go, still waiting for Nicoletta Koulos' score to come up.
Pike Jaeger to get things going on bars.
Nicoletta Koulos a 9.9.
Locks in that handstand. Difficult dismount. Not a perfect landing, but it was close to perfect in the air. Nice body shapes. Michigan isn't quite in the clear yet. One more routine. Natalie Wojcik is looking for a hit set in order for them not to count a fall.
Natalie Wojcik's an automatic hit though, right, Sam? There's no way she's going to have a fall. Right?
I refuse to jinx NCAA gymnasts on the broadcast with guarantees, so I'm going to leave that as a question mark here. But I would say Natalie Wojcik has great experience, beautiful lines, and facts show she has a history of making her bar routine.
So UCLA's done on vault, and they are in. They are going to qualify to the next round of the regional championships. West Virginia, Kent State cannot catch them. The question is, will they finish first, or will the Michigan Wolverines, after a fall from the bars, rally and maintain that #1 spot heading in to tomorrow's regional finals? Kendra Combs is on floor exercise. Kiana Lewis right before her, a career high 9.9. So back-to-back career scores for West Virginia on floor. Cammie Klein and Abby Fletcher will finish the rotation on beam for Kent State. That was Cammie Klein with the dismount right there. They need some big numbers.
And quickly to bars, Natalie Wojcik doing a good job getting all those handstands to vertical. Beautiful lines. Easy peasy, John. Double layout to a stuck landing in the base.
As certain as the sun rising in the east, Natalie Wojcik hitting a routine in a clutch moment. It's a certainty. And what a rally from Michigan. When they have a fall, you know, they should maybe start with a fall tomorrow on every event, because after they fall, they go nuts. 9.925, 9.9. Sierra Brooks puts up a career high 9.925, and then Natalie Wojcik goes and does that. What a finish for the Wolverines.
I think it's safe to say that both UCLA and Michigan are going to shake it out and wake up on the better side of the bed tomorrow morning. I know the pep talk for them is, okay, we got all of the mistakes and the little bobbles out of the way, so tomorrow we can come in and show our full potential, put a complete meet together. And they're going to need it. Cal looked great in this morning's competition, and Ohio State, as we already know, has already upset one team so far in this weekend's competitions.
And they have nothing to lose. Kent State on beam, their anchor Abby Fletcher, bottom left. Bottom right, Abby Pearson, the anchor for West Virginia on floor. 3 9.9s in a row, 3 career highs in a row for West Virginia.
Big back handspring layout on beam for Abby Fletcher, Kent State.
Kendall Bays, by the way, top left from Lindenwood, competing on vault.
Fletcher finishing up with a front aerial into a layout full. And she made it. You could tell that was the slow clap. That was, I stayed on, but I know I could have done a little bit better.
Abby Pearson finishing up floor exercise. This rotation all ready for West Virginia. It's the way you want to finish. It will be the highest score of any event the entire season for West Virginia. If this is the end of your season, this is exactly how you want to finish it up. At home in Morgantown, your best performance on any event this year, and you're going to finish 3rd in the regional semifinals.
And this is Abby Pearson, who's already following 3 9.9s, and yesterday she scored a 9.9 as well. So big finish for West Virginia on floor. How exciting for them.
So the Mountaineers, a challenging season for them, like all the teams. Jason Butts told me earlier this year that their main goal coming in was to stay healthy. With the interrupted training schedules and different levels of conditioning coming in at different times during the fall, shorter preseason, he said, you know what, let's try to do the best we can. Let's get the most out of ourselves, but most importantly, let's stay healthy. And I'll tell you what, he's got to have a huge smile on his face right now after the performance they had, not just last night, but also today.
And they're most likely going to drop a 9.825. It's going to be a big floor score for West Virginia.
Absolutely. We still have balance beam going. This is individual from New Hampshire, Haley Liu. Haley's a junior out of Collegeville, Pennsylvania. I want to correct myself. This is Robin Kelly, sophomore for New Hampshire. My apologies. Haley went right before her. Cassidy Rushlow from Penn State on the floor exercise. Head coach from Penn State, Sarah Brown, said of Cassidy on floor exercise when she came in as a freshman, she is the MVP type of athlete. And certainly somebody that, like a Natalie Wojcik from Michigan, that Penn State can lean on in the next couple of years.
And what a compliment. Working out of that Rudy pass. Something, too, to take back to the rest of their team is that to the team that's not here with her competing today is this experience. She's been here, she's done that, so hopefully she's going to be the leader for years to come.
On balance beam for New Hampshire, Alyssa Worthington.
Nice back handspring layout. I'm loving the amount of triple series that we're seeing today. It's really exciting to see these teams pushing the difficulty. Front toss got a little off balance at the end there. And good finish. Back handspring to that 1.5.
Robin Kelly right before her got a 9.875. Nice performance. That's going to do it for the balance beam rotation. We have one more gymnast to go on the floor exercise, although it looks like we may have one more to go on balance beam as well.
We're watching great gymnastics, John. Don't rush us out. And especially on beam, man.
Melissa Astorita for Penn State on floor exercise.
Open double back on floor. You've got to think that she's probably training a full in with how beautiful that open double back is. Easy combination pass. Nice double pike. What a great floor routine to finish off this competition. No deductions on those landings, clean passes in the air. She's going to receive a big number.
All right, I'm going to try to clean up this beam situation one more time. I apologize for those at home. Haley Liu from New Hampshire, a 9.875. Robin Kelly, a 9.775. And that was Alyssa Worthington, we believe. I apologize for that mistake, but that is indeed the end of the balance beam rotation and the floor exercise rotation. Another side note to those Virginia Mountaineer fans out there, the 49.45 that West Virginia put up on the floor exercise, that is their highest single event total since 2004. Congratulations on a great job there for the Mountaineers. But other than that, it is indeed Michigan. They come out on top, 5.5 tenths ahead of the UCLA Bruins, but a comfortable margin, Sam, between that second and third spot. For a while there, we did not think that was going to be the case.
Yeah, we saw a lot of little mistakes early on, and I think both teams, UCLA and Michigan, did a good job picking up the pieces there and having to really fight for this spot. And I'm hoping they're hoping to clean up a lot of those mistakes in tomorrow's competition. You bet that.
So this is what the bracket looks like going into tomorrow. Cal and Ohio State, they got in the afternoon session. Michigan and UCLA, they were the ones we expected to see there. They get the job done. That is going to be tomorrow, 7 Eastern on the ESPN app. If you want to see some drama, all of those teams have got a legitimate shot to get to the NCAA semifinals April 16th. Highlights, Sam. Bring us through these.
Sakai Wright for UCLA on vault starts this stick rally with Yurchenko 1.5 and a big celebration to finish. Locks in that landing for a 9-9. Marzetta Frazier, Yurchenko layout full twist a little early off the table, and we see the effects of that there on the landing, but she's still all smiles. Nia Dennis, 9.925 for finding a great landing. Vertical chest when she hits the ground. Shea Campbell follows. Yurchenko layout full, and again finds that landing with a vertical chest for a very good 9.925 score on vault.
How about the
Michigan
Wolverines?
Had some problems early on. Carly Bauman casts over. We saw that from UCLA earlier in the competition. The freshmen are feeling the nerves for this regional championships weekend, but lucky for Carly, the rest of her team responds very well. That's Gabby Wilson with a 9.925. And Natalie Wojcik, beautiful double layout dismount, just like we know she can do it, with a 9.95.
So great job from the Michigan Wolverines. I'm sure the head coach, Bev Polacki, is going to tell us it wasn't perfect, but you got the job done, Bev, and things started off a little shaky. How'd you communicate with your team to just stay focused?
You know, I just told them we don't have to be great right now. We have to be very good, and I'm really proud of every single one of you guys for fighting to stay on the beam. That makes all the difference in the world. You know, let's just take a deep breath and pick up the pace and try to get better every single event, and I feel like, you know, that's what we did. I'm very proud of this team, but you're right, we made way too many mistakes tonight. We're going to have to clean that up tomorrow night if we want to advance from this very difficult region.
Yeah, uncharacteristic mistakes that we saw from you guys, but what impressed you about them in tonight's competition?
Just the, you know, the grit and keep fighting. We have had meets this year where we've really had to work for it, and this was one of them. You know, it wasn't a night that it felt like it was just happening. You know, we really had to work through every routine, every event, and I'm proud of them for hanging in there and doing that.
So Bev, you had a couple events where you had a gymnast fall early in the rotation floor. You know, you have somebody go out and have a mistake. Bars as well, and it's like this fire gets lit in your athletes, and they go out. Floor was a season high for you guys, and at one point it looked like, man, this meet could get derailed. Beam wasn't great, floor was going the wrong way, but then you said not so fast. Is that something you teach? Is that something that's just innate? Because that's a big time pressure situation.
Yeah, like I said, I think that we have just worked very hard this year on just, you know, sometimes it doesn't come easy. You have to keep working. You have to stay invested. You have to stay in there. You have to be very intentional with every single thing that you're doing. And so this team really believes in each other. And so if there's a mistake, the rest of us pick up the slack and keep it rolling. And I think, Carly had some freshman jitters tonight, and I fully expect her to bounce back tomorrow night. She has been incredible for us all season long. I have no reason to believe that she won't correct the errors of tonight and bring a different mentality tomorrow.
They did a good job fighting through this entire competition, but you're hoping tomorrow that it goes a little bit more smoothly, I'm sure. How do you prevent those little mistakes from happening tomorrow?
I think it's just a confidence factor. These are the meets that are like the hard ones, when it's like the only thing on the line is to get to advance. And so I think there was more pressure tonight than there probably will be tomorrow night, in my opinion. I think, we've got one under our belt. We're comfortable in the arena. I think we know where our mistakes were, and we know, they know as individuals what they need to do to kind of correct the little errors and get things back on track.
Well, Bev, one thing we know is tomorrow is going to be incredibly exciting. We can't wait to watch you guys do your thing, and we hope you guys perform well. And good luck. Congratulations on a great season as well up to this point.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bev.
So this is the bracket, Sam. Cal, Ohio State, Michigan, UCLA. I'm going to have you handicap this. I know it's got to be harder than it looks, but tell us, what can we expect tomorrow? And be honest with us, who do you think is going to make it to the NCAA semifinals?
Well, it's going to be a battle. Cal looks solid. I think that judging by their performance in today's competition, they should be a lock. #1 team in the country. And Michigan looked good despite some of their uncharacteristic mistakes. UCLA really needs to step it up a notch if they want an opportunity to knock off Michigan or Cal for a spot at the NCAA championships. And Ohio State, I don't think we can count them